Hey guys, we're doing well today. In today's video we talk about the Crusaders versus the Blues for round 9 of Super Rugby Aotearoa. Before I start this video, I just want you guys to know that in the description below there is a link that you guys can use to buy the British and Irish Lions 2021 Test jersey. I highly suggest to click the link below. You can use the code DROP, so D-R-O-P, for 25% off that order, and yeah, highly suggest to use it. Obviously, it would have been around £100, I'd say, for this test jersey, but using that discount code, it now goes down to around 78. So yeah, definitely highly suggest to use that, and obviously that is in terms of pounds. But yeah, click the link below. It's a test jersey. I mean, this is what the players will be wearing. So yeah, get the link. I'm probably going to get one myself, but yeah. Anyway, cracking on with this video. So the Crusaders versus the Blues. This is probably you could say the biggest game normally within Super Rugby Aotearoa. Obviously, recently the Chiefs have done very well, and they're actually coming up the ranks, you can say, with 5 wins in a row now. So they've been doing very well, you could say. But more or less, yeah, this is obviously going to be a good game. The Crusaders Blues. I mean, in Christchurch at Orange Ferry Stadium. So obviously the Crusaders will have home advantage. But yeah, no, it's just one of those where both teams aren't actually in the best form, to be frank. I mean, like with the Crusaders, obviously they did lose last week against the Chiefs. That was a huge, you could say, loss in the sense where the Crusaders really needed to win that game. But it also, they lost within you could say extra time, and well, not extra time, but they lost within the dying seconds of that game, obviously due to a David McKenzie penalty. But on the other hand, you had the likes of the Blues, who actually lost to the Highlanders last week. That was just a devastating loss, really. I mean, more or less, the game was close, but the Blues really just lost control for the last 15 minutes. So, yeah, the Highlanders definitely deserve to win that, and the Blues definitely have to step up their game, in this game if they're actually going to win. And, yeah, both teams really need a win here. I mean, to be frank, the Blues need to win more. But, if the Crusaders even get, like, a losing bonus point, I think they still get first place and get to play at home. So they're in a very good position, essentially. But the Blues, if they do win if they do win against the Crusaders away, I mean, it's just a huge win in the sense where, it does help the Blues, obviously, but at the same time, even if they get a losing bonus point, that's okay, because then it depends on what happens against, the Chiefs in round 10, which is obviously the last round. So that's probably what's going to be the decider if you actually play the Crusaders away, but we'll get into that into another video. But more or less, I'll go over the teams right now, and yeah, here are the teams and the lineups, obviously, for both the Crusaders and Blues. I'll run them by with you guys, tell you what I think about them, and yeah, I'll give my prediction right afterwards. So yeah, starting off with the Crusaders, the Crusaders, they have a decent team. They have the likes of George Bauer as well as Michael Aotearoa at their 1 and 3 position. Pretty good props there, I'd say. But they are going to be facing the likes of Carlton Rafe as well as Nepo Alala. And to be honest, I would have actually given it to the Crusaders if they had Joe Moody in there. But because they don't have it, obviously due to injury concerns, I'm actually going to edge towards the Blues. The Blues they're known for their props. That's literally the area they're known for. They have 4 all-black caliber props. So for that reason, I'm going to edge it towards the Blues from that section. For the hooker one, it's very interesting. Obviously, with the Crusaders, they probably have the most, you could say, informed player throughout this competition so far. Maybe McKenzie is making his name for that. But we'll have to wait and see. But more or less, Cody Taylor's probably been the Crusaders' best player throughout this whole competition. And yeah, he'll be facing the likes of Kurt Eklund, who's actually returned back into the side in replace of Tulai. So yeah, I highly rate Kurt Eklund. I really like him within that hooker spot, and hopefully he gets to play more games. Yeah, that should be a good battle. But yeah, like I said before, Cody Taylor's probably been one of the best players, not only for the Crusaders, but also in the whole Super Rugby competition so far. So for that reason, I edge it towards Cody Taylor in that selection. So, I mean, to the locks, I think this is probably the easiest selection ever. I mean, the Blues don't really have two, you could say, quality locks in the sense where Sam Derry is just, this is his first season in a sense. It's going to take a lot to actually, for him to, improve. But also, it's a good learning curve, you can say. But he's not, he's not up there as one of the highest, highest locks. But then he does have the likes of Gerald Tuwate, who is a decent lock in a sense, but they don't have Patrick Tupoloto, and that's the big loss, really. But yeah, on the Crusaders' hand, you do have the likes of Scott Barrett, and you have the return of Samuel Whitelock. So for that reason, I'm going to give it to the Crusaders straight away. I mean, they should win that battle, really, within the line-out. That's probably going to be one of the key areas, you could say that they'll actually win within this game. And I can tell you right now, they'll be creating a lot of rolls because of that lock pairing. But anyway, moving on to the loose forwards. So the loose forwards is a very interesting one, obviously, with the Crusaders. You do have the likes of, I believe, at 6, you have Ethan Blackletter, who is decent, and he can actually fit within all 3 of the loose forward positions, so he's nice to have. Obviously, he has a lot of versatility, so that's good. But in that 7 position, you do have the likes of Sino Havili, who had a decent game, I'd say, last week, but just he wasn't his usual self. Then obviously at number 8, you do have the return of Cullen Grace, which is great to see, and he's probably my favourite loose forward, you could say, out of that loose forward pack of Crusaders. Cullen Grace is definitely my favourite there. Yeah, for the Blues, obviously you do have the likes of Blake Gibson at 6, which is kind of interesting to see, obviously, with Akira being on the bench, and then he needs a bit of rest, obviously, but the main reason why Blake Gibson is there is because of Tom Robertson, who did injure himself within last week's game against the Highlanders, so that was a huge loss in that sense. But the good thing is that the Blues, if there's 2 areas which they can fully replace people in, it's the prop section and loose forwards. So it's not too big of a worry. And yeah, Blake Gibson's pretty solid. And then obviously at 7, you do have the likes of Dota Papali, who is a co-captain for this game, which is great to see. Obviously with that leadership role, they don't have a lot of experience, you could say, within this side. But Dota Papali, he's definitely he'll step up his game, and yeah, this hopefully should improve his game for sure with that bit of leadership quality there. Yeah, and number 8, obviously you do the likes of Hoskins at 2-2, but I feel I'm going to edge it towards the Crusaders just because they don't have the likes of Todd Robertson or Akira to really start within that game, start within that selection. But anyway, moving on to the backs. So the backs, you do have the likes of, with a 9-10 combination, you do have Mitchell Drummond and Richard Mwonga. Pretty decent combo, I'd say. I wouldn't say that they've been their usual self, and to be frank, Richard Mwonga hasn't been as stand out as he was last season. But they are facing the likes of Jonathan Ruru as well as Harry Plummer. And to be frank, Harry Plummer he doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence as a 10. And yeah, I mean Jonathan Ruru, he had a great game against the Highlanders, don't get me wrong. He had that great try where he just flew in the air and he just put it down. But more or less, he does bring a lot of he does inject a lot of energy, you could say. But other than that, I'm going to edge it towards the Crusaders in that selection. I just think it's an easy pick essentially. So moving on to the centres. The centres is a very interesting one because obviously you do have the likes of David Havili and then Leicester at both centre spots. And to be frank, both of them are not actually centres. But it's interesting to see that that's actually kind of worked. It kind of worked out well, you could say, within last week's game against the Chiefs. But when you look on the other hand with the Blues, where you have not Talia, but you have Tanaleo Talia, and then obviously Rico Arani, who is the other co-captain, that actually has a lot more, I'm not going to say chemistry, but they have a lot, it just makes, they have different attributes, which is what you really want within that centre spot. And for that reason, I'm going to edge it towards the Blues from that selection. So we move on to the wingers. The wingers is a very interesting one, obviously, with both sides having very good wingers. Obviously, with the Crusaders, you do the likes of George Bridge, who is going to give you a 7 out of 10 performance every week, and then obviously Sever Reese, brilliant, very skillful, and very quick. So that's pretty good combinations, I say, for the Crusaders. But on the other hand, you do have the Blues, who you do at number 11 spot. You do have Caleb Clark, who is just a battering ram in a sense. So yeah, he's definitely one to watch out for the Blues. And also you do have the likes of Mark Slay, who's kind of similar in the sense to, I'd say, Sever Reese, and they're both very skillful, but can also, they just get a lot of clean breaks essentially. Anyway, I'm actually going to give that as a draw. This is the first time I've actually said a draw in a while between selections, but I just think both of them they're both sets of players for both sides. They bring different attributes to one another, and for that reason, I'm going to say it's a draw between both of them. Then we go on to the last position, obviously, with 15 spot. I mean, at 15, you do have the likes of Will Jordan at 15, and then you have Stephen Perifetta for the Blues. I'm going to have to give it to Will Jordan. I just think he's had a better season. I'm not going to say he's been as standout as last season, to be honest, but he's been brilliant so far from his last 2 games. And for that reason, yeah, I'm just going to give it to Will Jordan. So that's kind of it with the squads, really. I mean, if I had to say who actually wins the game in my prediction for this game, I want to say the Crusaders will win it, but I actually think it will be a close game. So I'm going to say they'll only win it by 2 points. Actually, no, I'll say they'll win it by 5 points. Yeah, 5 points they'll win it by. So I'll say they'll win this game 24 points to 19. Yeah, 24 points to 19 is my final prediction for this game. So I just hope you guys have a good day. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and definitely use that link below for the British and Irish Lions jersey. Highly suggest to use it. Anyway, just hope you guys have a good day, and yeah, talk to you guys soon.